These are the best missiles that the Allies have provided us since the start of the full-scale war. Practically unreachable for enemy air defenses. Capable of penetrating any bunker, the stormshadow missiles continue to tally successfully hit Russian targets. And this count is already in the dozens. The history of its creation is quite long. Essentially developed based on the French Apache missile in the mid-90s, the stormshadow entered service in the early 2000s. The air-launched missile was intended for tactical aviation aircraft such as fighter jets, which is why its use today is possible with any multi-role fighter. Its main advantage for Ukraine is its low visibility and a range of up to 300 kilometers. There is also a version with a range of 560 kilometers. But according to open sources, such versions have not yet been delivered to Ukraine. And 300 kilometers more than adequately cover key targets in the territories occupied by Russia. Incidentally, even beyond those areas, which is why there was already a panic in Rostov.
Please kindly show us the specific Russian and Belarusian cities that fall within the potential strike range.
But for striking targets on Russian territory, we have other weapons, so Olenka's efforts were in vain. However, against those invaders who came to Ukraine, they will definitely be used, including the stormshadow. And they will fly with extreme precision. The missile has a combined guidance system, which practically eliminates the chance of missing even a moving target. However, the primary mission for these missiles is the destruction of command posts, logistics, and concentrations of enemy equipment.
It is designed to strike even deeply buried bunkers. It should be understood that for this missile, there are even more interesting targets now than the Crimean Bridge. And we're talking about a large number of air bases, particularly in the territory currently occupied in Ukraine.
The warhead of the missile weighs almost half a ton, and it has a tandem charge. That is, the first part penetrates the ground, concrete structures, or armored barriers. And the second part explodes inside the target, which practically leaves no chance for the enemy.
It can be programmed for either an airburst or an underground detonation. In the case of an airburst, both charges explode simultaneously. So in a way, it's a unique missile.
The missile also has several guidance systems for targeting, which makes it an extremely precise weapon. The stormshadow is equipped with inertial H satellite and DISMAC systems.
Here, the GPS system is shown. This is the navigation that constantly adjusts the missile's flight to ensure it travels in the correct direction. Because if it maneuvers between mountains, then a matter of tens of meters is crucial to ensure it doesn't crash into a hill, like Russian missiles that have hit houses and small hills.
Another extraordinary capability of the stormshadow that experts highlight is its invulnerability to Russian air defense systems. This is implemented in a straightforward, simple manner. The altitude at which the missile approaches the target is 30-40 meters above the Earth's surface.
It is, let's say, a universal missile in its own right, which will allow the Ukrainian armed forces to effectively neutralize the crimes of the Russian air defense on occupied territories. The combined guidance system allows it to bypass air defenses. It should be noted that, well, let's say this cruise missile flies low altitudes at very low levels, carefully skirting around the terrain. That is, it is effectively outside the range of Russian air defenses.
On radar, such an object remains simply invisible. And even in the case of acoustic detection of the missile, the systems won't have time to destroy it manually.
Russian air defense systems, including the conditionally modern ones like the S-400 and others, have the capability to detect and destroy objects flying at low and ultra low altitudes starting from a threshold of 40 meters. This means that this missile is effectively out of reach of Russian air defenses.
And here Western designers managed to combine, as they say, the pleasant with the useful. The fact is that flying at such an altitude over the terrain requires constant altitude adjustment. Therefore, this route is pre-planned. And it can serve as an additional guide for the missile if the enemy manages to jam some of the navigation systems. For example, with electronic warfare complexes.
The missile flies at an altitude of 30-40 meters. That is, the radio altimeter is constantly working to ensure that the missile does not come into contact with the surface. At the same time, it scans the terrain and compares it with the data stored in the database. In this way, it duplicates the inertial navigation system and GPS.
At the same time, the missile is capable of reaching speeds of up to 1,000 kilometers per hour. With a total weight of 1,300 kilos and a warhead of 450 kilo, it can fly a distance of up to 300 kilometers. It is slightly over 5 meters long with a wingspan of about 3 meters. The stormshadow remains invisible to the enemy with an operational flight altitude of 30-40 meters. But its effectiveness is best demonstrated not by its specifications but by facts. Just this month, the stormshadow has already made its mark at the Sevastopol ship repair plant.
Smoke rising there. From my yard, you can see the glow over there.
There, by the way, it managed to destroy the landing ship Minsk, and for the first time, cruise missiles penetrated a Russian submarine worth about $300 million. Among the latest achievements of the British storms is the strike on the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol.
So it has begun. Explosions. Explosions there, explosions in the city center.
It is known that at the moment of impact, a meeting was taking place inside. According to preliminary information, as a result of the attack, at least 9 officers of the fleet's command staff were eliminated. The number of injured is being clarified.
Missiles go!
The number of these missiles in Ukraine's arsenal is naturally not disclosed, but the regular explosions in the still occupied Crimea and their announced continuation by the head of the main intelligence directorate, Kirilo Budanov, suggest that Western weaponry is far from running out. Did you like this video? Then subscribe to our channel and don't forget to give it a thumbs up. This will definitely help us grow, and you won't miss new episodes of Arsenal.